Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am back with a new project. So, in probably the last thing that I uploaded on this channel that was actually like a proper video, I was building this, it's a tiny little Ruston and Hornsby undertype compound engine. And basically I didn't, it's finished, but I didn't bother to film any of the process of making it. And then I went and built this Gauge 1 Northeastern Railway 440. And I didn't film any of that because it was the first time I'd ever made a proper live steam locomotive from scratch. But now I'm doing my second one, and I figured, I may as well film it. So this series is going to be about building this. Now this is a Great Northern Railway, English Great Northern Railway, 080 shunting locomotive that was built by the Avonside Engine Company in 1866. And they were designed by Archibald Sturrock, the guy who famously invented the steam tender, which was a locomotive tender with a set of cylinders and connecting rods on it. And it was, depending on who you ask, it was a success. But he also designed this whopping great big thing. At least it was very big for the 1860s, especially in England. And this is going to be Gauge 1 live steam with an internally fired copper boiler, 2 external cylinders with a bore of 312 thousandths, roughly. So in today's episode, because I don't have the wheels yet, we are going to be working on the frames, which are here. These are just some pieces of, I can tell you what gauge they are. 10 gauge brass that I got from Ace Hardware, and they need to be cut to length, and then they have to have some profiles put on them on the ends to go to shape around the guard irons and the buffer beams and whatnot. So probably won't be the most interesting of episodes. It'll get more interesting once the wheel castings are here. Those will be coming from Walsall in the UK. But yeah, hope you all enjoy. So I will probably jump into a time lapse right now of me chopping up these 2 pieces of brass. So what I'm doing here is, you can see on the drawing here, there's this area here, which is cut out of the frame. Then you have the rear guard iron down here. And that needs to happen on here. So what I am going to do, I've already scribed this width here onto here. I'm going to measure from the end of the frame here. I'll get a ruler or some other straight edge. Just use this actually. We'll put that there. And we'll step this divider over until it comes into contact with the edge of the straight edge there. And then we can scribe that distance onto here. And I will get the radius this needs to be, which I don't remember what this is, and I didn't write it down, but center point is on the drawing, so it's not the end of the world. And then I'm just gonna do this by eye, really. Line this up. Yeah, that's pretty close. So scribe that. And then get my square here. And we'll clean all this up. I can find my, yeah, that'll work. So draw that edge on there. And Yep, that is ready for cutting and profiling. So then that'll get done on this frame as well, and there'll probably be another time lapse of me doing that. So the frames are now roughly profiled. You can see the cutout for the cylinder at the front here, and then clearance at the back for the guard iron. Unfortunately, I somehow managed to cut the slot for the frames. How well you can see that, but the slot is about 1/8 of an inch too long. I don't know if I just messed up my measurements there, or if I filed too far when I was cutting the slot, or what happened there. But that's not the complete end of the world. I can make the valve chest a little wider than it was originally going to be and fill that gap up. The important thing is that one surface, this front surface, which is what the cylinders are going to register against, that is in the correct position. It would be nice to have both of them in the correct position, but unfortunately this back one is 1/8 of an inch too far back. But hopefully that won't affect the position of the cylinders relative to the rest of the valve gear and the running gear and whatnot. So yeah, that pretty much wraps up this episode. In the next episode, I will be drilling all the holes in these, cutting the access ports, for lack of a better term, in the side, where if this was a full-size engine, you'd reach through with your oil can and oil the inside of the motion. And I'll also probably be doing the frame stretchers in the next episode, and then the frames will actually be able to sit together on the surface table, and hopefully they'll be perfectly level, and I can go around with the marking out gauge and mark out the centers for the axle boxes. So that will be in next episode, and thank you all for watching, and please like, comment, subscribe, and all that. And yeah, until next time.